Welcome everybody to PAPAPRENEUR Show. This is season number 2, and we're keeping our promise of changing the paradigm of fatherhood one interview at a time. This podcast is produced by Family Filmmaker. Welcome everyone to another episode of the PAPAPRENEUR Show. This is season 2, and today we are having episode 15. And as any other of our episodes before, we're keeping our promise of changing the paradigm of fatherhood one interview at a time. One thing we have in common today compared to last episode is our guests are from Venezuela in both episodes. And I'm not going to introduce them yet because I want to remind you one very important thing. You guys are sending us messages of wanting to know when we're going to be on air and getting reminders. So not only you have to subscribe to our YouTube channel and then click on the bell icon, and that way you will get notifications on anytime Family Filmmaker YouTube channel has a new video, but also you can do the same over Facebook. So if you have pressed the like button already on our Facebook page, you can also click on the follow link. So it literally says follow in a box. Every time you click on that box, you will be receiving notifications on our videos. Another important announcement is this episode tonight is being recorded and it is not live. It is not live because one of our guests is located in Spain, and well, therefore we need to, be conscious of the time zone difference. However, we are going to be using our live chat all across the show because the other member of the initiative that we're going to present in just a few minutes, it's locally here in Calgary, and he will be chatting live with you. So start sending your questions, and now it is time to introduce our sponsor of the evening. This show, PAPAPRENEUR Show, as many others here in Calgary, is totally produced by Family Filmmaker, and this is our video production company. So we provide services both in English and Spanish, and not only here locally in Calgary, in Alberta, in Canada, but also around the world. And one of the many things that we can do for you is helping you produce a show like this one. So if you have an idea for a podcast, if you have an idea for a TV series or any other kind of videography project, we can help you with remote production. If you're wondering about what remote production is, it's basically leaving all the technical things on our side, so you only need to worry about all the messages and the content that you want to broadcast. So start your project by sending us a line to the email address that is on the screen right now, podcast@familyfilmmaker.ca. We look forward to hearing from you and start the conversation. Now, today we have two guys born and raised in Venezuela. They, same as me, they just left the country a number of years ago, and they have established many different things. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But the thing that makes them be here in the show tonight is because they created a very particular concept under the social media handle at Get Cover Music. So what does Get Cover Music do? We are going to let the owners and the founders to explain the idea to us. So welcome to the show, Carlos. How is it going? Good evening.
Hey Ivan, good evening, man. How you doing?
I'm doing very good. How's life over there? You're here in Calgary, right?
I'm here in Calgary, yes. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have Armando. Armando is a little bit farther away. How's it going, Armando?
Hello, Ivan. Great to speak with you tonight.
Now, let's get the party started. Who wants to start telling me how this thing of Get Cover Music started on the first place?
Armando, go ahead, bro.
I think we both want to start. This is one thing I like about this is that uh, the team behind Get Cover shares a feeling of excitement every time we work on it, right? I mean, this is the kind of project that kind of born out of a lot of passion. In this case, it's the passion for music. And especially with Carlos, we shared one of those time lapses back in Maracaibo. That was a lot of years ago. Maybe we shouldn't go to make the math.
Yeah, don't put the numbers
Please.
together. But the good thing is that you guys know each other from what? Like youth or childhood, or how long ago did you guys know each other?
Well, we actually met back at. We had some common friends. We didn't study together, but we had some common friends, and we got together in Paris. And
Mm-hmm.
then we realized that we both like music, and the Carlos was playing the guitar, I was playing the bass, and I went to his band's performances, and he went to mine. We started playing together a couple of times, right? Right, Carlos?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right on. So, how long are we talking about? Like, couple of decades?
Yeah, like before
Let's
the year
leave it at that.
2000. Let's leave it like that.
And Ivan, there was another thing that Armando and I shared, and is that his birthday is on the 28th of October, and my one is on the 29th, right? And what we used to do is, once we were friends many decades ago, we used to throw parties together, rocking,
2 days
and
long.
in our, yeah, you can say
Exactly.
mini Woodstocks.
So, imagine if it would have been Friday and Saturday on any given year.
Yeah,
Yep.
that happened.
And Halloween, my friend, very spooky
Oh,
night.
that's right. Oh man, just do the
Right.
math. So now, for people that hasn't heard about Get Cover Music, what's the best way that you can, summarize the core idea of it? What are you guys pursuing, and what's the objective, and how are you making that happen?
Yeah, sure. So what happened was that with the, I mean, back in the day, we used to hang out all the time, right? And right now, each person is on a different country, on a different side of the world. So one day we just thought, how about if we start making music? It doesn't matter whatever anybody is,
Yeah.
right? So how about if technology is helping us to stay closer, to teach online, to learn, to do a lot of things online. Why can't we make music online? So that's kind of how that's kind of the engine of this, which has been transforming in a lot of other things.
Well, so I guess there are a little bit of uh, advanced thought in the sense that you've been a musician for a very long time. You both have, and also there's a third person that is involved in the creation of this idea. We can touch upon that in a little bit. But what I'm saying is, now technology allows everyone to be so close that it's only a matter of a click or two on your computer, right? So I always like to think about what George Lucas said when he was trying to start the trilogy, and he said, "Okay, I'm gonna have to keep these characters a little bit longer in a book before we put them into a movie, because the technology that I imagine is going to be available for me to give life to these characters has not been invented yet, right?" So I think, even though it might not be the core of the idea that you guys had, it's very important to say that 10 years ago, Get Cover Music wouldn't be a thing, because it was just basically impossible, right? So, do you guys remember when was the first time that you actually said, okay, this needs to be growing farther than just a couple of friends jamming with instruments and, singing and vocals and percussion? Do you remember that first, boom, we have a solid idea here?
Yeah, that was pretty early on. Uh, Actually, we started just a couple of musicians. We started with this started with a phone call. I called my friend Andres Sueto, who is a guitar player in many of the covers. So I just told him, look, I want to play. I'm bored as hell here on the lockdown in Madrid. So I want to play. What do we do? How do we play? I can edit video. You can produce the audio, and he handles all the tools. So let's call somebody. Let's call a drummer. Let's call a singer. and that's it. Let's play together. So we chose a song, and everybody just did his part. Send me the video, send Andres the audios, and that was it. We published it online. When the day that we wanted to publish it, that's the day we created the name. We sat down and we said, well, what, this has to have a name. Let's create a new Instagram account,
Mm.
whatever, so we can have that. I think by then it started to feel like something could be happening here. And then we
So
make the first cover, on the first ones we already saw that all the people that we call have been calling all their own friends, their own musician fellows. So we had a expanding community real quick.
right on. And at which point of the story did Carlos jump in?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, Armando and Andres started that, and then very early on, I started participating as a musician with them, and we share so many friends in common anyway, but from back in the day. And then very right after that, it was Armando and myself and Andres getting together, and we said, okay, guys, how can we take this? How can we expand this? This is definitely, it's obviously a fantastic idea, as Armando was explaining. So Armando is doing the video. He's a fantastic video producer. Andres is a fantastic audio producer. And what I came to the team to do is then I was in charge of the social media, coordinating with the musicians, quality control of the audios, etc. And then we form a pretty perfect triangle, if you want, from an operational standpoint for Get Cover today.
So I guess you just saw that not only being a musician, you could bring power to the powerhouse, but also the social media component and quality control and all of the things that you're mentioning. So it's very interesting because one of the things that we promote here at the Papapreneur Show is trying to remind people constantly about the fact that, hey guys, you really need to hone in your own skills, turning your skills into something bigger than yourself. So if you guys found, wow, this guy is really good on editing, and this other one has like an audio engineering background, and I can bring the social media component. So it's like as a learning process to all of our viewers tonight and along the second episode, along the second season of the show, is we also try to encourage people to make their ideas become a reality, right? So I think you guys are giving a clear example of, I do not need to know everything. I just need to have my phone handy and pick it up and say, hey guys, I have this idea. What do you think if you join, right? And we can make it grow. So speaking of growing, what do you guys have to say about reaching more countries, reaching more cities, and probably, I don't know, start chatting with musicians that you've never thought you would be doing?
That's one of the duties I'm doing today with Get Cover is recruiting international talent. Okay, and I tell you, Ivan, it's been such a blessing that not only I'm able to work with these two gentlemen and do what I love, which is music, but I get to make we get to make those dreams come true for other people. Uh, as far as Indonesia, we have a drummer in Indonesia, we have another
Wow.
musician in China, and they've been, this guy, for example, in Indonesia, he's been thrilled because he's a very, established musician back there, but he has never had the opportunity to play with international communities. And just for him to interact with the rest of the musicians on the cover he recorded, he was just thrilled over the moon, and we were just happy to be able to enable that for those musicians, right? So today, yes, we are expanded throughout 19 countries, uh, and we're going for more in 2021. Of course, you will see that our musician base, which is today at 105 musicians, has musicians from 19 countries and 48 different cities across the world. And there will be a lot more joining. There's more joining as we speak. And it's going to become an international movement. We're so sure about that, right?
What's the most sought after thing that the musicians pursue when they join? Is it because they want to find like different kind of rhythms that they were not acquainted with, or is it just because of the reach, the potential reach to reach different audiences? So do you know, I don't know if I'm making this question clear. So is it because of they see potential in what you guys are doing, or it's just like, let me just do my thing and let's see where are we going from here? What do you think about that?
Actually, we all, as I said, we are musicians everywhere in the world. I mean, it doesn't matter where you are. We get in touch and we share we agree on a song to record. Okay, so once everybody has done their part, we put it all together in video and audio, and we publish it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. They got very in touch with the idea. I mean, they got identified with the idea of making music, or of sharing and collaborating with musicians around the world. So that kind of makes you want to do it again, and makes you want to try to share something, try to help in any way, because it's kind of a common goal for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we have been adding people to the team. And that's actually how Carlos went inside, because we share a lot of the, as I say, the passion for this, and he came with a lot of ideas. So some of the musicians that we've been playing with, that has been happening, like with Carlos. I think that's the best thing that has made us grow. We have had, I think, 4 or 5 different languages on our channel. I mean, we're not setting limits within language or rhythm or style or genre or anything. Okay, so anybody who wants to play whichever song has in mind, I mean, we're open to it.
And I'll add to that, Ivan, that um, the day of the release of every, and I tell you, this happens on every song, every cover and original song we release. The feeling of achievement, of togetherness around the musicians themselves when they see themselves in a screen playing and rocking and enjoying with the other musicians across the world. That sensation, I think, is what Armando was trying to describe, is what fills them up so much. And they feel so much identified with that. That they, okay, what's the next over? I want to record something else. And one thing leads to another.
Now that was gonna be my next question, because if if you're reaching out to so many musicians and they are starting to show interest, and you can actually see it, right? So for those of you that are just tuning in mid-show, you can go and use the information on the screen at the bottom where it says get cover music. Put that into Instagram so you can start watching what these guys are doing. And back to the question of how they feel as a musician, and as a, as a talented person, because you need to have a good set of skills. I can see that as you fill up all of the, I don't know, instruments or positions or whatever you call it in proper music language, you're gonna find that you have not one but 5 or 10 percussionists, and then you're gonna have 2 or 3 or 5 on the medals, and then you're gonna have more vocalists than you can accommodate into a single arrangement, right? So on the management side of things, what are you guys doing to see, well, vocalist A is good for this cover, we need to tell vocalist B, hey, you gotta wait up for the next one? How are you managing expectations from the musicians that already know how the adrenaline runs when you have a new launch and they are just eager to be on the next one? How do you say no? How do you say yes? How do you choose?
Armando, you want to say something or should I go?
Take it.
Okay. Answer is pretty easy right now, Ivan. There is, I would say, an endless field of music out there, covers, anything you name it. So we really haven't reached the point of having to say no to anyone. Now, the first thing we do is we let our musicians tell us what do they like,
Mhm.
right, and what they're good at. Because again, back to the inclusivity point that Armando was sharing earlier, we not only welcome musicians of high skill levels. If every skill level you have in musicians, of course, then we have to, when it comes to the song itself, as you can imagine, in music you have very high skill or skill demanding songs. Then you can say medium, you can say low, and then of course each person go into the song they want. And just because there's so many songs out there,
Exactly.
we we it's like we haven't even scratched that surface. Yeah, the, there is opportunities absolutely for everyone.
Now, but we're gonna have to think about growth, right? Because after you guys have been shy a year in the market, not even 1 year, I think the only limit is the imagination, because you can reach globally, and people are showing interest in the matter, not only as participating as musicians, but also the crowd that is following you guys. So the other day, when we were on the phone and starting the conversation to have you guys in the show, I saw that your Instagram follow is it's pretty good for an organic account. So you guys are not buying followers, you guys are building with talent, and that's it. And reaching 1,200 followers with mere talent within a year is pretty remarkable. So on that matter, congratulations, guys. I think you are doing a great job. And I'm, yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to show our audience. We're gonna take like a 2 minutes break, because we are gonna see the favorite of you guys. You told me that the Christmas medley was one of your favorites to show. So let's take a moment and let's go and enjoy this. So we're gonna play the Christmas medley. Anything like 10 seconds, 30 seconds message that you want to add in regards to the production of that medley in particular?
Armando, go for it.
Yeah, that's the biggest one we've done. That's uh, the biggest amount of musicians. We had 12 people on it, so that was pretty a pretty good challenge.
All right, let's watch it.
Jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swinging, jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing up bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chime in jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air, what a bright time. It's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time, it's a swell time to go riding in a one-horse sleigh.
I don't want a lot for Christmas. There's just one thing I need. I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I don't need to get my stocking there upon the fireplace. Santa Claus will make me happy with a toy on Christmas Day. 'Cause I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you, baby. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Ooh yeah, how could you leave Christmas morning? You broke my heart with a warning. Boy, you blew this. How could you do this? Do this? Oh yeah.
Shake it, baby. Shake it, baby. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Skip-a-dee-bop-dum-dum-dum-dum. Hey, shake it, baby. Shake it, baby. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. He shakes you when you're sleeping. You know awake. He knows if you've been bad, oh, kiss will be good for goodness sake. You better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Bate o sino pequenino, sino de Belém. Já nasceu Deus menino para o nosso bem. Vive la fun, vive la fun, vive la fun de ver. Qui sont faz e fãs do flam, dalle grands sapins verts. Navidad, Navidad, hoy es Navidad. Es un día de alegría y felicidad. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
So that was a little bit of Christmas spirit. Please write in the comments in our live chat box what was your favorite theme, if you recognize at least one of the musicians there, and also if you have any other question for that matter for Carlos and Armando, and Andres is going to be here in spirit as well because he's part of this initiative of Get Cover Music. And while you're doing that, remember to go to social media. For example, Instagram is their strongest social media platform, so you can go Instagram/getcover_music, and you can still enjoy the Christmas medley again. You can go and watch some other genres like rock. You have so many things in there.
Not
I
quite.
think we have close to
Not-
50,
Yeah.
48 covers. Is that right, Armando? But in terms of genre, we have rock, blues, we have jazz. We even have a cover full of talented jazz musicians there as well. Soft rock, Spanish, you name it. You got everything in there so far.
That's pretty neat. So now it's been said over and over that if you do what you love, you will not have to work a single day in your life. But I do understand that this Get Cover Music thing is not your actual 9 to 5. You guys sustain and provide for your family in another way. And I do know you are a parent, but I haven't talked to you about how many kids you have, if you have pets, if you're married, and all of that jazz. So in a nutshell, Armando, how do you manage your daily life to be able to include the time to do the things that you like, for example, being a musician?
Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to have work for myself. I have been working as freelancer for a very early age. So, and I have been setting up all my work life that could be done mm, wherever I live. Like I've been working remotely with a lot of clients and trying to minimize the local work and maximize the remote work. So that has been actually the advantage that I feel, because actually I have 3 kids. I know it doesn't look like I have a young face, but I have 3 kids.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so we are working from home is makes things very very much easy, and I can spend time with my kids. I mean, I can take my youngest kid to school every day, so I can spend time with my family. Have free days when I can set them up. So that kind of freedom is very valuable when you have a family like mine.
Now, how many hours a day do you put towards your own business? And the second question is, what industry are you at? I see.
I work as a digital video editor. I've been doing actually also special effects, CGI effects. I work with 3D animation, 2D animation. I've been, doing pretty much all related to digital graphics.
Right on. And how long is your journey every day? Like how many hours you put towards work every single day?
Well, that's a hard question because it has its advantages. It has some ups and downs.
Mm.
The life of the freelancer. But it could go from, I mean, a minimum of 8 hours with no
Well,
maximum.
yeah, that sounds about right. I totally hear you on that one because I've been working uh, for myself for the last probably 5 to 6 years. So yes, there is no maximum.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And now on the other side, we have Carlos, which is managing his uh, hobby side of being a musician and whatnot, intertwined with working for a company. So you're an employee, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, Ivan. So I work in the oil and gas industry for the past 20 years. And yeah, it's not an 8 to 5 job either. It has its ups and downs, especially towards the end of each month, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I have two kids, but two four-legged kids. It's not that they're not normal. They're two dogs, okay?
Yeah, so you have furry kids.
Furry kids, exactly. And the wife, she's at home. She's a graphic designer as well. And of course, we have to take turns. So for instance, we take our two babies 4 times. We feed them 4 times a day, and we take them out 4 times a day. And typically, we keep account ourselves. Each of us takes them twice a day.
No, now it's your turn. It's your turn.
Exact. But when she sees, for example, that I'm into a meeting or something, she goes, does it, and then I cover for her on the next one. But we
Yeah.
try to keep that balance on a daily basis, right?
That's how we call it holding the fort, right? So it's important that it's a little bit of teamwork. And sorry, Armando, that I'm interrupting. Before we move on to the next thing, we need to understand something. Maybe we grew in highly populated cities, and maybe we grew in a tropical country. So here in Alberta, where it's so cold, having a dog, I just think it should be a totally different experience because they go out in the cold when it's -10, -20, -30, and they still need to go and walk. So if you guys are thinking about having a dog, and if you live in a country similar to Canada in terms of weather, talk to Carlos. I am not ready to have a dog. Like I have my plate is full with two kids. The youngest is 2 years old, and the oldest is 6, and they are crazy about having a dog. And yeah, it's not gonna happen in any time soon. I'm not ready for that challenge. You were gonna say something about that, Armando. I interrupted you. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Carlos spends more time with his dogs than I do with my kids. I mean, I don't take them out 4 times a day. I tell you that.
Well, and you know what? It's funny because we all choose what we want to do, and we all administer or manage our time in different ways. And I hear you, Armando. When I had here in the show a guy that is making a lot of money in the multi-level marketing industry, he has very young kids, and basically he trusts to the wife the entire care of the kids. So he's lucky to spend time with them, but it's not a lot of time, right? So his decision was, okay, I'm going to be busting my off to make the money so I can provide to the cost of not being with them as long hours as he would wish, right? So again, as I said with the dog situation, I am not ready for that challenge either. I am not bringing millions and millions of dollars a year to my household, but I am spending a lot of time with my kids, and I know they're gonna be little just for this time, and probably then I'm going to change the strategy or something. But that's another thing that I love about this show. It's just bringing ideas forward on how do you do it, and how do you do it, and how I do it. And if you guys that are viewing have any thoughts on this regard, please just comment on the chat. Either myself or Carlos are happy to share more ideas and listening to what you guys have to say, because after all, this show is, as we said from the beginning, we're trying to change the paradigm of fatherhood one interview at a time. So the guys at Get Cover has explained the situation, where to go and find their music. What we have not shared yet is this. I believe, I don't know how the industry works in terms of using music that is not, that doesn't belong to you, and then getting away with it. So we were chatting off air about this. I would like to see what's your standpoint in terms of music licensing and the ability to post stuff that doesn't belong to you, because every time that I've tried, and I'm not an expert by any matter, the videos are either shut down or you get like a copyright claim and whatnot. So what's your take on this?
Yeah, it's a kind of a delicate matter, if you will. Um, Everybody right now should be worried about, as they are, as the big companies are, of all copyright, of protecting all copyright, and we're all forward for it. The thing that happens when you record a cover is that the original, let's say, the um, the ownership of the theme is yours, as a creator, as the artist that composed it. But someone can play that music that you made,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you're not like directly breaking the copyright agreement if you don't profit from it. If you
Monetize
want
it.
to profit from it, right? If you want to profit from it, you have to pay for the rights to use that, to play it. It's not the same to use it, because if you bring the original track, that's when they're gonna block you all completely, right?
Mm.
Or you, once you play it, you're interpreting that music. So you have to, if you want to profit from that, you have to pay the artist, right? But we don't profit from that.
But it
So
would
that's
be
the
actually interesting in finding ways to, because growth is coming, as long as you guys keep being persistent on posting and spreading the word and whatnot. Get Cover Music is on their initial stages. So if growth is in the horizon for the next months or the next few years, how do
it
you
is.
guys how do you guys envision getting there?
So to expand on what Armando said, Ivan, is we remember, okay, the name may distract you from the main objective of it. The name of Get Cover may allude that it's only covers that we do, but bear in mind we also do original music, right?
There you go.
We have right, so we actually have one original already published and a few originals on the making, in which we apply pretty much the same process as a cover, right? And of course, the originals they belong to the original authors that composed those that song. Now, when it comes back to the covers, yes, there is a difference between just playing outright that song directly and
Mm-hmm.
placing it over an ad or placing it over something that you are profiting on, or as Armando was saying, interpreting that music yourself. And I can go even further down to say you can actually cover as an original song of any band, and you can change that. You can add new rhythms, new music. You can add new. You can make it a whole new thing, even though the root idea belongs still to the artist, right? So, and on those sort of parallels, there are ways to monetize that. But of course, it is not just as simple as an original where you just register it and it's yours. You have to follow a few steps, and basically the royalties. The original composer will receive some royalties about that as well, right?
Interesting. So I'm gathering that the next member of the board for Get Cover Music should have background in laws and copyright and all of that.
uh,
You say joking, but totally, it is definitely a key piece of the equation.
Now,
Yes.
moving forward, what are the bottlenecks for what you guys envision for Get Cover Music to grow?
We have big plans, and actually, every time we sit down to discuss them, they get bigger. So that's kind of something we have to learn how to handle, and learn how to take step by step and try to plan it as within our possibilities and within the right rhythm that a project like this should have. So we have short-term plans, and we have mid-term plans, and we have long-term plans. And as I said, they're growing every day.
Mm-hmm.
But what we want to do next is to first grow as much as we can, include as many musicians as we can, give them all the support so that we can start a community within Get Cover so that they can be in touch with each other and that you can kind of meet there, that you can find another guitar player, another bass musician that plays in your town, or that you feel interested contacting with,
Mm-hmm.
and collaborating with. So we're doing everything we can to set up that starting base, so where people can join our community and start doing all those things while they are playing awesome songs.
Now,
Yeah,
do the musicians have to pay any membership fees of sorts?
No, not at all. Not yet. We are setting up the all the infrastructure and all the programming for that, but we are not planning on charging any subscription. Actually, we all the first our first priority is that everybody can join for free, and all we need to while we're doing that, we are also growing on our support team, and we're including a couple of fellow mates that are also video editors, for example, and that want to help us with all that process. And we're including also other musicians that are going to help with the audio production.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to reinforce that team so that we can give a better support.
Now, I still haven't heard any blockages or roadblocks for the near future.
I'll say the first one, Ivan, will be to you see, as today, any respectable company within the social media should have a very solid base of audience base, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned that within 8 months so far we've reached nearly 1,300 followers, which is good. But we are conscious of the fact that in order to become a renowned um, company space within the social media, we need to reach way beyond that, and that's one of the roadblocks I can see immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why one of our immediate objectives is to maximize our audience, right? This is why, regardless, we don't want to charge any subscription fees, as Armando was saying. All we want is, for this to become mainstream and widespread.
Now, I have another idea for you guys. Video editors and storytellers like myself are always trying to differentiate and make things differently, so we can be on people's minds in terms of the productions that we make. Now, we could go and buy a membership on a specialized website that sells music from composers and original scores and whatnot. Have you explored, instead of going straight to consumers, have you tried going business to business? For example, I would really love doing what I've seen in Australia and England, where family videographers that go into people's households, and they film at the family's location. Then they hire a musician, or the videographer is a musician as well, and then they play some guitars, riffs, or whatnot, and that music helps tell the story of the family film, right? Now, I haven't found anything similar here in Calgary, and I know it's culturally different and all of that. But since you guys are reaching globally, maybe the B2B is an interesting avenue to walk, because when you're in business, you know that you need to put a budget towards things. When you're a consumer, you have a totally different mindset, and well, if you're born probably in the last 20 years or 30, you have like a little sense of entitlement that everything should be found for free on the internet. Right? So that's what I'm thinking with you guys, like thinking on my feet here. Maybe the business to consumer is not the model. Maybe it's just the business to business. Who knows?
Actually, what we're trying to, I mean, what drives Get Cover from its core is to be a platform for the musician to develop in the music world, to develop his music, so that anything you need to do that you can find that in Get Cover. So that's directly for the musician, because we believe that I think is almost worldwide. It's pretty well spread. The places where the musician gets it hard to make a living, like especially in these times. For example, here in Spain, I was touring with a band in 2019. We did 40 shows within 2 months. In 2020,
40?
we did 3 shows. Yeah.
Wow.
So all that stop, a call stop, and it's
With
an
the
industry
lockdown.
that's hurting.
Yeah.
A lot of people that are struggling right now. So I think that something has to be done about that. I think that the musician should be having a lot of digital tools that can help them profit from their own music and grow as a musician.
So, as a musician, would you think working on a stage is a thing of the past?
Hopefully not, because that's pretty much one of the greatest sensations ever.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think we can. Yeah, I think we can add some other experiences to that.
Yeah, no, to that I will add, guys, that I hope as well, and I don't believe that the proper live face-to-face music is going to stop. However, that's where, and this is one of the many things that this global pandemic taught us, and this is why we also found the Get Cover, is we don't want physical distance to be an impediment for musicians around the world to be able to properly express themselves. And that's what Get Cover, we want Get Cover to become, is a stage, a global virtual stage where musicians can actually play, and physical distance is no impediment.
Absolutely. Now, I can't help but remembering this. I wish I knew the name of the campaign, but I think it's One Love, One Heart, or something like that. So yeah. when you type that on YouTube, yeah, you find so many musicians playing Bob Marley's music and integrating footage from different, islands, countries, territories, and whatnot. So was that any sort of inspiration to start what you guys started, or are just like two different things? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's something close to the spirit of it, Get Cover, but it's done very differently. I mean, they are joining everybody in one single band. That's a beautiful idea, and yeah, that's a very, very cool video.
And I believe they are sponsored by Audio Technica, a big company in the sound industry. So maybe that's another avenue to explore, finding connections to a big sponsor. As long as the philosophy of the sponsor is aligned with what you guys believed in. Because just this morning I was working on a consulting session with a customer wanting to develop their brand, and they say, well, I don't want any fundings from this company and this company from the private sector because it is not aligned. I rather go to government funds. And then I was like, wait a second. So you live in this country and this country's government is doing this and this and that. So would you still want to have fundings from them? Right? So it is so important to know that we want to be aligned and in consonance with our principles, right? So I believe because you guys are making your living from another sources of income, you guys are free to decide whatever the heck you want to do with your project, and then finding creative ways to make it flourish. Because at the end, well, I believe we are just making the things that are making us happy, and then finding ways to make more of that. You know, like I have a good stuff, I want more of the good stuff, and I want to keep doing it. So I see growth is in front of you guys. It's your path for what you guys are doing. I invite people in the audience again to leave your comments here, so Carlos can reply. Then maybe Armando can chip in the next morning, because it's really crazy late in Europe right now. The time that this episode is being broadcasted is going to be probably like 4 or 3 in the morning for Armando. So yeah, any final thoughts, any final messages before we conclude our episode tonight?
I'll just speak on that last comment you made, Ivan, on being aligned with the same vision or cause. And that's something I want to remind and make it clear to everyone here, that this is, Get Cover has a cause, and the cause is ultimately enable musicians globally to be able to have a stage where they can express themselves at any level, anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter. And by that, and that's what drives us from our core, right? So I'll just close with that. Thank you, Ivan, for having us. Really appreciate your time. And everyone, shoot us your comments, your messages, and I'll try to respond to all of them. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. How about you, Armando?
Yeah, just a big thank you. I mean, this kind of initiatives to try to get people together. I mean, what you're doing is pretty similar to what we're doing also. You know, bringing people together under that role and the entrepreneurship role. So so that's I mean, I think that gets a lot closer and makes it fun to share these experiences. So thank you very much for inviting us.
Absolutely, and I believe at the end, what can be told here publicly is that these guys, along with the other musicians, are completely available for you. If you have any sort of project or idea that you want to include original compositions, original music and whatnot, Get Cover Music is not only about covers. So if you need talented musicians that have found a way to defeat geographical barriers in this time and age where that is not relevant anymore, shoot them a message. You can start by commenting here on the chat box below, or you can send them an email. You can go to social media and find them on Instagram at getcover_music. They are available and ready to start creating. Same thing as us at Family Filmmaker. Again, what I said at the beginning of the show, if you guys have any idea that you want to start a podcast with, or you want to start your own weekly show like the one that you just watched tonight, please send us a comment at podcast@familyfilmmaker.ca. It's available for you guys to have the conversation started. And yeah, next week we're gonna have another show. Next week is almost, wow, we're reaching almost the end of season 2. So another reminder to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can click subscribe, and then after that you will be able to see the little bell icon. So when you click on the bell icon, you will be receiving all the notifications. And also on Instagram, you can follow us, and on Facebook, after you click like, you can also click follow, and that way you will be receiving information about every time we go with another episode. At Family Filmmaker, we are happy to serve you, and we can do this both in English and Spanish. It doesn't matter if you're here local in Calgary, Alberta. You can also be anywhere in the world, and we will be happy to have the conversation started with you. So guys, thank you very much for being with us today. Hey, he brought one of the one of the instruments. And see you guys next week. Thank you for being here. Papapreneur, produced by Family Filmmaker. See you guys next week.